Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. About 27 Cameroonians have already made their intentions known to run for the top job of the country as presidential candidate for the upcoming 2025 presidential elections. The over 27 aspirants are both independent candidates and those being backed by different political parties. And they are coming at a time the country is going through some socio-economic challenges. So today we are asking the questions. Are the aspirants, what exactly are the aspirants preaching on the ground? What alternatives do they have to ameliorate the current situation of Cameroon? Are the manifestos promising enough to be able to cajole Cameroonians? Do the promises look real and achievable? These are some of the questions we shall be answering in today's edition of 360 Degrees. Stay with us for the next 1 hour. You're welcome back. This is 360 Degrees, and we are coming live from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. We are expecting 5 guests in the studio today. At the moment, we shall welcome those that are present while looking forward to have the rest of the panelists in minutes ahead. I will begin with the Deputy Secretary General of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, where I have Dr. Ngrimbal Nda. He's right here with us in the studio as the SDF mouthpiece for today. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair Hyson. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my second time of being here, and I must tell you that during the first time, I had a lot of viewers and a lot of commentaries were made. Okay. I want to extend my greetings to the militants who are at this moment one of our exchanges of today. Yeah. They will have had a glimpse, a gist, an idea of what is going on in Cameroon as far as those who have made their intentions known is concerned.
Of course. It's our role to gather all the views and let Cameroonians have the varied choices to make. I have Fulgofrit. Fulgofrit is one of the elements that communicate for the CPDM, the ruling party. He's here with us. He has always answered, honored our call, and we are happy that today you are here again to partake on this very important topic. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hyson. It's a great joy for me to be here this afternoon. And I want to extend my greeting to my co-panelists, to my comrades who are on the field working since after 2018. You know, as I usually say, yeah. After a victory, we prepare for another one. And I believe that today we're going to see things that will go along to the building of our beloved nation.
Of course. And we are fortunate again to have Enes Akufo. Enes Akufo is a civil society actor and a political analyst. He's always been here to share his very rich knowledge on varied topics, and he's here again today. Enes Akufo, it's a pleasure.
The pleasure is good afternoon to my co-panelists. I just hope that in the next 1 hour we're going to dissect how the political arena in Cameroon is going to be looking like.
Yeah. Okay, because as we'll be coming back to discuss what the political parties are doing this week.
The new generation machines of the National Biometric Center busy throughout the day to print voters' cards. The engines printing 3,000 pieces per hour as Elections Cameroon struggles to deliver the electoral weapon to the awaited registered Cameroonians.
The process is very good, and for now we have sent to the field around 100,000 cards. And I feel that in some weeks we'll be to 1 million, and we will continue to end the to produce the last card, and when they will convert the electoral body, now we also produce the last electoral card for the electors of 2025.
Months to the 2025 presidential election, Elecam has also acquired 1,000 new ultra-modern enrollment biometric kits, including the 13th generation portable computers, scanners, solar panels, power banks, a retractable photo backdrop, and others.
Ready to register some important. You know that for the next year, you can say that we are very satisfied for that step that we have reached at this moment.
The electoral body has embarked on a 5-day training of trainers with the aim of equipping them to Elecam agents across the country.
Militants of the MP3 party, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, and faces. And we have our executive secretary, which is known as Samuel Iram Iyodi. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to every Cameroonian.
Good afternoon. Mba Raoul is very rich.
Thank you, Mr. that watching this Renaissance. We arrested. It was rather peaceful manifestation and arrested them. What they did was talk about the war that is going on in the Northwest. We call it senseless war. And when it has to do with the lives of, have to make sure that you resolve this problem in what are they still doing. But we keep...
Ernest Akufo will give maybe like 5 months to the elections before we come. What is the Social Democratic Front doing on the ground at this particular moment?
In addition to having instructed all the 360 electoral district Cameroonians registered, we are also planning a series of activities that will begin on the 23rd of May, right up to the 7th of June.
Okay.
We are going to have a NEC meeting in Bafoussam on the 10th, which is our 35th, to have a gathering in which we give honor. We shall be continuing to Bankim and Makba. On the 30th, we shall have a rally in Mutengene, and from the 1st to the 7th of June, we shall have a tour and series of rallies in the Far North region. Okay. That's exactly what the SDF is doing. And today, as a party, a socialist party, and so we have an umbrella organ called Kalamo. Kalamo is the Cameroon Labour Movement, or in an MOU, or if you like, yes, with most of the workers' 2025 presidential election.
Okay, I'll come back to...
When our extraordinary convention, and we don't have a natural candidate in the SDA.
Okay, presidential aspirant for the upcoming presidential elections in your party.
Of course, you have to understand the MP3 movement was created in 2018 and were legalized officially in 2023, and since 9th of November 2023. And since then, we've been able to build our strongholds, and at the helm of this building, we have our executive secretary, which is the person. In other parties, they call them president. They
call them chairman.
Others call them chairman. By the law of the MP3, see, we are patriots, and we don't believe in a person, but we believe in the political program that we follow. And this political program, we have somebody at the head that is guiding us, which is known as the executive secretary, and it's Samuel Iram Iyodi. So, maybe coming to your question of what we've been doing and what we are doing so far, owing to the fact that we have 5 months to go to the 2025 presidential elections in Cameroon, which is a very crucial election for the future of Cameroonians, and particularly the young people. The MP3, from its legalization, we've been building, like I said before, the strongholds. Of course, 2 weeks ago, I published it. I was in the extreme north of Cameroon. I was in the northern regions, right up to the extreme regions. We're building strongholds in the southwest region, in the littoral region. Of course, in Yaoundé, we have our headquarters here in Yaoundé at Bastos, where we're meeting today again with different patriots on the ground. We've been able, and we are organizing systematically what is known as Café Politique, Political Café, where we get to meet with our patriots and talk about what is disturbing us and what are the solutions to be able to carry forward. We don't only add at that level, but we also organize meet and greet, which is also activities that we take it more of a leisure to be able to understand, know ourselves, and master the problems that we have, where we organize football matches, and also we are preparing the West Africa tour, where we'll be going to other West African countries to meet Cameroonians there and talk with them, as we've been doing in Cameroon. And we have to understand that the election, when we talk about elections, we're not only talking about the population that is going to vote, but we also talk about the organs that are in charge to organize this election. And of course, in this case, we have ELECAM, which is the electoral body that is supposed to do this. So we are also in charge of doing the checks and balances of ELECAM. That is why at the level of the MP3, we've been able to develop an application which is known as Vote Cameroon. And we are inviting all civil society organizations. We'll be sending the letters out already, and political parties, all of them, even the ruling party, the CPJ, we're inviting everybody on board so that we can see how together we can make use of this application, where we will not be able to vote and then wait for 1 month as if the ballot boxes were supposed to move on foot from extreme north to Yaoundé.
Okay, Prince Will.
Like in other countries, we're going to see that this application is going to help us to be able to have an idea of who and at what point in time the electoral process has been able to
Okay, Prince, I will be coming back to you. Yes, I will be coming back to you.
Yes, let us one thing. Maybe I should just finish this one, please.
In 10 seconds.
Yes. And so we've also been able to write to ELECAM, the Director General, we have a copy of it, asking him to uphold the electoral code, and particularly the provision which states that every candidate to election needs to declare their assets. It is very important. We wrote to ELECAM on the 19th of April concerning this. The Cameroonians need to know, and this is the steps that we have been taking, and we have others that will be unfailing.
Baraul?
Mr. Hyson, I think as a political party that is very keen when it has to do with electoral matters, we know when you listen to the cry of many Cameroonians, some of them don't even believe on the electoral process. And so at that level, we have the legal team within the CRM, the MRC, that is out to make sure, because since from, I think, following every electoral process within a particular year, for example, like a registration on the electoral list, the Director General, they are supposed to publish the national list. Meet some names that will be, you can see a name, let's say within Yaoundé, you can see a name in Biamasi, see it also in. So that is part of the fraud. What we are asking is the respect of Article 80. So it's not just about denounce it. We took it at the level of the various competent court.
Of course, we
took it at the level of they were able to defend it, but at the end, they come at the level, because as I'm talking to you, it is at the legal side. Now, politically, we are in all the polling station. You know, we stay focused, we stay on the line. So at the level now, I can say we are about 80% to make sure that we have our representatives
at the polling.
Our militants and also sympathizers that at the end of voting in each polling, either through your smartphone live, it means somebody who is in the US automatically is aware that this is the person who won in this particular polling station. So it's on the electoral process to go and register. We thank God because we have the smartphone, we have the Android phone, that at least when as you are voting, do not go, because then your vote. It means when you vote, stay there. Mr. Hyson,
please.
Yes, I will not speak of the renewal. When we're doing the renewal, we started at the level of right at the base, went right up to the regional federation. We were able to carry out this activity in most but we are still doing our best. So political party don't have, you only
evaluate what is going to take place as a rally.
You know, at the level of within the state, sometimes what they do, they think they are instead trying to block the MRS from doing this activity. For example, we saw how they even, I don't want to come on saying how they had to, they never respected even what we call the electoral calendar, given without justification, because even on the code, it says even the president wants to extend, it has to make sure that it called member of national.
Okay, Barrow, your point is gotten. Gottfried, the CPDM is waxing strong?
Very strong, very strong, Mr. Hyson. You know, as I earlier said, you know, CPDM have never relented his effort to see into the preparation of any election, no matter the kind of election in Cameroon. And when we talk about the presidential election, you know, it is a crucial election. And if I want to cite certain things that we have been doing, I will just cite the recent one, because you see, since 2018, we have been preparing for this election. After 2018, we have been preparing for this election in 2025. So it's not a new work we have to do, but we have to polish certain. And when we are talking about polishing things, you see that of recent, we have anniversary, and you see the mobilization. I know that many of you here were invited to cover. And now, presently, the newly appointed by the national president, His Excellency President Paul Biya, were installed by the Prime Minister, Secretary General.
What about the internal squabbles where militants have dragged the party to court for denouncing that the candidacy of President Paul Biya may be...
No, if you pose that question, you know, CPTM is like an example of other parties in Cameroon where they practice democracy, which simply means dictatorship does not exist there. And if courts are there to complain when we see that things, maybe we see that our view is not, and that's where they can judge. So the militants that are not happy, they have that right, and you see nobody contests the fact that they went there. So I was just saying that we have that mobilization, installation by the Secretary General, what we call section conference, and other section conference in order to train our militants to know exactly how they can behave the day of election, and not the least, we have to also encourage Cameroonians to register, because you know, when you don't have your vote card, you are just an spectator.
Ernest Akufo, I will begin with you from this angle. What is your take on the growing number of presidential aspirants in Cameroon at the moment? Thank
you, Hyson. I think before I get to that, in the intro, I listened to the president, the PR, the president of the Electoral Council. No, not the president.
The Director General,
of Elections. Talking about the new equipment which has been acquired. I think that's an added impetus, because along the line, a few weeks back, the Elecam team went somewhere in the suburbs and they couldn't get people enrolled because of a defect in their equipment. Though belated, I just think that everything will be okay, because Cameroonians have been clamoring for that. You know, elections are a process, and when one of the processes is faltered, it's election rigging. Yes, when you cannot enroll people, you disenfranchise them. Coming back to your question proper, the presidential elections per se, capital elections of every nation, and we know the president of the republic is the #1 citizen of every country. He wields power, and everybody wants to get to that enviable position. So if you keep having a large number of people who aspire to be in that position, well, they are just nursing hopes of getting there. It is, we know it is procedural, where the candidates will deposit their applications, and which will be examined. Do they fulfill the conditions? Because the important thing is not getting on the media and say, I'm a candidate. Yes, it doesn't suffice to be that. There are criteria to meet. As per candidate, there is a caution fee to deposit. So all of those things will be looked into. But it beats my imagination, Hyson, that there are some political parties, yes, which crop up only during elections. I begin to ask myself, because when I listen to the political parties represented here, everybody is talking about political education. That's very important, because I've been clamoring for it. But must we do political education only at the eve of elections? No, I don't think so. And they were equally talking about pre-election litigation, which is equally very important. You see, since election is a process, at the pre-elective position, we have litigation during the elections, and after the elections, there are litigations. That's important. And then to end it all, you see, those here, I never heard anybody talk about his or her candidate because I expected to hear the names. Okay. I hope that when you give them next round of talks, of course, they will have to reveal okay, this is this. Notwithstanding, I want to say, still in answer to your question, when you see the enthusiasm to aspire to, for people to want to get to the post of the President of the Republic, it is somehow showing the degree of democracy that is in the country. But is it palpable? Is the $1 million question.
Okay. Maybe to the four representatives of the different political parties that we have here, is it okay by you if I call you the disciples of your aspirants? Is it okay?
Yes,
okay. Let me begin with the doctor here. We are talking about elections at a time our economy is dwindling. So at the level of the SDF, what are you proposing to Cameroonians in that aspect?
We have an economic program. Remember in our manifesto in 1990 when the party was created, we still have that manifesto till today. So we are only adjusting it. And it was called...
To suit the challenges of present
exactly,
time. Okay.
to suit current realities. It was called NESPOP, National Economic Salvation Program. And this program was designed by World Bank, IMF experts. It was designed by the best economists in Cameroon who were part of the SDF and helping the SDF at that time. And so we are proposing a progressive tax system whereby the more wealthy you are, the more tax will be imposed on you. And we are also proposing that we shall print ID cards, national identity cards, free, because we've seen that it is an important element not only of national identity but also of economic growth. Why? Because you need your ID card to do any sort of financial transaction in Cameroon. And so we are saying that in the first place, an identity shouldn't be bought. And so national ID card should be free. And birth certificates as well should be free for up to 3 years when a child is born. These are some measures we are proposing in our political program in order to make sure that the economy is kick-started, if I may use the word. And let me also tell you something about expenditures. We have analyzed government budget, that is finance laws that have been voted for over the years, and we have seen that it is grossly mismanaged. You will not believe that reports show that a ministry, one ministry, spent 700 million francs on foils. Ministers have their offices in ministries. I believe all of these ministries have conference rooms, but when they want to organize their capacity training seminars, they go out, they spend so much money. And we did a time series analysis in the SDF, and we realized that over the past years, these guys have spent close to 1,000 billion francs. Can you imagine, Mr. Hyson?
Are they not pushed by the population that's supposed to attend those conferences?
Close to 1,000 billion francs organizing conferences that lead to nothing. Recently, minister organizing a conference to clean Yaoundé. That is not a job of a minister. That's a job of a mayor. And if you go into details, you see how much has been spent to organize that foolish meeting, that foolish seminar, to bring people together to talk about how to clean Yaoundé. You will not believe your eyes. That is money that they will have instead used to clean the town, but they use it to organize a meeting to talk about how to clean the town. And that is where we are. All of these expenses in the SDF program, we will cut them off completely. We will ban all these. If you want to organize a seminar at the level of the ministry, then do it inside your ministry. You don't go and do it in Hilton Hotel. You don't go and do it in Montfort. You don't go and do it in Kribi. You must do it inside your ministry. These are some of the measures that we are proposing in order to rebuild, to boost the Cameroon economy.
Prince Will, he says their economic program started far back in 1990 and they are just adjusting. You are a new party, you are just coming into play. Which are some of those maybe palpable measures that you feel that you can use to redress this economy from where we are?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before now, you talked about being the mouthpiece, which is a very good thing as well. But at the level of the MP3 party, we are patriots, and everybody is well informed about the ideology of the party. But talking about economy, we need to understand that the economy is not an isolated concept for the development of each state, but we have other concepts that come into play. And we want to talk about this. We look at political stability is one of the most important. And in this slide, at the level of the MP3 party, yes, you say we are new in the political scene, but not as new as you think, because most of us of the MP3 party, we have been on the political arena for as long as more than 10 years. Remember 2018, I was...
I understand.
Of course, we come in...
So we are concluding that the party is new, though it has all militants of other parties that has had to cross the carpet.
Experienced leaders and patriots and people who are the helm. For example, if Samuel Hiram Iyodi, he was at the forefront of the Now movement in 2018. He was the leader of it. At that time, he was the one who was at the helm. So we've been able to analyze all this, and we came up with our political manifesto. Wherefore, in this manifesto, it is titled "The Continent Rise Up" in English, and in French, it's known as the Le Continent Debout. This manifesto has 12 points. You know, it's in a book of about 300 pages, but we understand the fact that Cameroon needs an urgent solution to our problems, to a dilapidating country that is going. So that is why we understand the ordinary Cameroonian will not have to read 300 pages to understand. We have conceived it into 12 key points. And these 12 key points start with the first, which says that first we should end the Anglophone crisis. Before coming to the 12 key points, the first issue to target to grow our economy is to end the Anglophone crisis that has been going on. That's the senseless war that has been going on for over 9 years now. Now, coming to the 12 key points of the Continent Debout, the first one talks about no wastage of the taxpayers' money. Now, I'll come back to what my brother was saying here. The MP3 already understands that the Cameroon taxpayers' money is being wasted, and that is where our problem begins, because if you have a state budget of about 7,000 billion and plus, and 4,000 to 4,500 billion is being used for running budget, Mr. Chair, there is no country that has ever developed with running with maintenance budget. No, we need more of investment budget. But why is our money being spent on running and maintenance? It's because we live in a country where the government in place and the ruling party does not think about the interests of the Cameroonian people in development, but it thinks more about how to clinch onto power. And to do that, we are unable to distinguish between the party and the state. And in this way, they use the state resources to be able to do partisan politics, wherefore they appoint people based on their political inclination. And this goes a long way to hold that these people who are being appointed as government ministers do not actually serve the population, but serve the party that has appointed them. And that is why we have a very large government of more than 60 ministers. And the MP3 in his first point says that we have to cut these ministerial positions from 60 and plus to 23. You realize that at this point, the fuel bonds allowances that my brother was talking about, 1,000 billion for over the years, will be used for infrastructural development. And this will lead to the development of the Cameroon economy. The second point talks about the state that represents us and brings us together. Look, we live in a country where the northern part of the region is in war, the southwest and northwest are in war, the eastern region are in war, virtually everything is in war. Why? Because
not everything though.
I said virtually everything.
Yes.
Because you and I, we live in psychological war. Hunger and everything, bad roads. It's still part of the war, but it's psychological. And to resolve this is because the state that we live in does not resemble us as Cameroonians. That is why the MP3 say in the second point, we need a state that represents us. And this will happen by consensually organizing what is known as the National Sovereign Conference by 2026, where we'll take over power.
Okay.
And with this, the Cameroonian people will be able to see onto us. But Mr. Chair, one more important point which I want to bring up is the key four of our political manifesto, which talks about equal justice for all. Mr. Chair, if we are in this...
We shall be getting to
that. If we are in this point, maybe the last one, if we are in this place today on Cameroon where we have huge corruption, it is because the presidency of the Republic or the president of the Republic is still a member of the Supreme State Council. A member of the... how do we call it again? The Supreme Higher Judicial Council. And this makes it in such a way that, what happens, this Consupe came up recently and said, from 2008 to 2024 or 2025, only managers of state enterprises have embezzled more than 1,300 billion. But they did not tell us how they are going to recover that money. And we've seen so many of this embezzlement, which is crippling our economy. By this, if we remove the presidents of the Republic from the higher judicial council, we realize that we will have that sort of independence where these organs that are in charge of fighting corruption will be able to have that liberal hand to sanction and it will reduce our corruption. And to end with, that same point talks about resolving the issue of our crowding prisons and our justice system. Wherefore, we are going to do prison reforms that everyone in the prison will not remain in the prison, but will be able to use them for betterment of our economy. And every citizen of Cameroon will have, please. Yeah, every citizen of Cameroon will have at least a single lawyer to represent in the case of any other trouble.
Okay, thank you.
There are 12 key points. I think
thank you, Prince Will. Yes, I will be coming back to you.
Key points. Very simple, and it will resolve the Cameroonian problem.
I will be coming back to you. Before I get to Raul, permit me take this message. Good afternoon to everyone in the studio. From my detailed observation, some aspirants are making noise, apart from those who participated in the last presidential elections, because they want positive or some government advantages. Sometimes their manifesto doesn't match with their ideologies. My advice is that a coalition should be formed if they want to challenge the ruling party. That is coming from Dr. Cho Waters, watching us from Yaoundé. Raul, you listen to these other two panelists this way. We are talking about the socio-economic measures that the CRM is proposing, because you've painted a very black picture there, and we need to ameliorate. And in case the CRM is given power, how do you intend to handle the socio-economic situation of the country concretely?
Mr. Hyson, first of all, with due respect, I want to say the CRM has in no way think of painting this country. It's because of patriotism. That is why sometimes when we come out,
you are painting the situation. You've often said you can do better. So
most times we give proposition than even painting.
Okay.
Yes. So relating to the economic situation of our country, I think we have to that we are so proud of. But the first objective, if we 66.
Okay.
Because the problem, when you see the economic that is crumbling today, search on some of these state ministers, let me put it in this terminology, the junk of money, some of us will be shocked. I will take, for example, we have had scandals with COVID kids.
Yeah.
The question is, it's not like maybe the money it's found in some certainty politically. The reason why most of our militants, we staged that peaceful manifestation was to ask for an accountability administration as to what we are proposing, because the CRM program on the economic is we intend to put an administration that's money people are able to give accountability on it at administration. You go within us is each person, there will be no person that will get into administration without declaring
the asset
into public service. So if we come to power, we intend to make sure that we activate that Article 66 of the Constitution. Then when it's not out to make sure that it sees that it goes on institution that function well to make sure that it go into consideration, you will not be able to have the result. Okay. So if today Cameroonians, the economy is crumbling, we heard even from the President of the Republic in 2020, okay. he came on board saying that they are going to open an investigation, but up to now. So sometimes we are saying that the President of the Republic, I think he's tired, because when you function in the right faculty, using your 2020, 2021, they are asking 2024, 2025. And now, if you meet even let me put it, the mama even on the street, he will tell you that it is not going. Okay. You don't even know, you cannot even come on board, because if you look into at the level of the parliament, sent to the president.
Okay, Raul, Full Godfrey, you listen to seeking for another mandate, of course. How do we read?
I think when you look at the economic growth of Cameroon today, we are at the positive sign, which means we get from 3.6 to 4% in 2025. You can understand that, and this economy have been boosted by the sectors like agriculture, mine. We talk about mine. The exploitation of minerals in Cameroon is just beginning, and we have natural resources. When those are things that have been boosting the economic of Cameroon. We are not at the level of at the negative point, because all what they are saying here is what have been done. And that's what have been boosting the economies of Cameroon, and there is nothing new that they are proposing, because I think CBDM, as the new mandate, they have been working since they are on the power, on the development of the economic consolidation of the unity. Safeguard of liberty, because you know, if today we can sit and discuss together, you discover that all what they are saying here, nobody talk about that freedom of the liberty. And that's one of the elements that is even important, because sometimes there are some political parties that will never accept to be criticized. They will never accept to be criticized, and you know, when you accept critics, that's where you grow. And that is why you see that Cameroon today, with the economic growing, the maintenance of the political stability, since for the number of years that we are in power, you can count the number of elections. And this year... Are
you saying that our economy is moving the right train as we are now? Conclusive, maybe summary.
Mr. Hyson, look at a country where that has political instability. You will see they will go from the point they were very backward. And in Cameroon, it is true that what is affecting Cameroon is not only from Cameroon, it's also external, because it's a global situation. And Cameroon have been struggling to maintain, because they have that political stability, and that's one of the objectives that is faced by the party.
Enes Akufo, I was listening to, I've been following up the different aspirants, and I listened to one who said he will stop cigarettes, alcohol, prostitution, gambling, and other social phenomena. Those are some of his priorities as presidential candidate. When you listen to such, do you share that view? Maybe just adding to what you've been listening to from these people and nodding your head?
Hyson, you see, I laugh because when I listen to such things, it's like a cacophony, right? Parties or their candidates. My take home is, yes, the manifestos are there, but how commensurate are they? I was expecting the CPDM guy to talk about pluralisme communautaire, because it encompasses with their movements towards seeing that taxes are reduced and curbed, all this and that. There is no gainsaying that the economy of Cameroon is on a downturn. Okay. Yes. Any political leader, any president who takes over power in a country, after having taken power, politics is shaded aside. The next thing is, how does my country forge ahead economically? Yes, and for that to happen, presently the rate of inflation in Cameroon is, we are living hyperinflation. Okay. Yes, hyperinflation. There's no saying about that, because I wouldn't want to cite examples. Rice, well, I must cite, because rice is a staple food, a common food on every household in Cameroon. Yeah. A kilogram formerly was 280, 350, but today, to eat quality rice, you must have 800 francs for a kilogram. Yes, for the drunkards, you know, the addicts, that's what keeps Cameroonians going, right? The least bottle of beer in Cameroon now is 750. I'm not doing any publicity for the brewery industry. Anyone, yeah. Yes. You see, and when you look at that, you begin to see that what I expected and what some of them said in their programs was, the economic programs was viable. Cutting down taxes, creating employments and all the like. That is very important when you take over power. But how palpable is that is the major question, the $1 billion question. Nonetheless, I want to think that when you look about all of their programs, as they did mention, I don't see anybody who is leaving out the economy. Yeah, some are talking about generation agriculture, which is important. But the case in point you cited, I say it's a cacophony. Because why do the youth involve themselves in addiction, in gambling? Because they are jobless. They are jobless. But when you create employment, people will not have time to go smoking cigarettes. They will move out voluntarily from such things. Yes. And I think the gambling issue in Cameroon, it should be a law passed in parliament to avert gambling in Cameroon. Because amongst, if I want to, well, I haven't done the sampling yet, but if I want to consider that 8 million Cameroonians are youth, 4.5 are involved in gambling. Anyway, Doc,
to answer to
yes, maybe before maybe you just take off from there. Yes. All of us are acknowledging the fact that the Anglophone crisis is a major challenge to our economic progress. At the level of the SDF, I heard when you were presenting your program, you talked of 90 days or 100 days to end Anglophone crisis. How do you intend to do that?
100 days to end the conflict in order to patch the economy, in order to bring the economy back so that it can kickstart. Because ending the crisis is a political solution. We need political means to end the crisis, and we cannot pretend to end the crisis in 100 days. But we can end the conflict in 100 days, and we have proposed that we are going to substitute government forces with vigilante groups, and then we will negotiate with those in the bush to lay down their arms, because it is the state that has an army to lay down their arms, but we substitute the military guys with a vigilante group or vigilante groups. That is ending the conflict in order to set the basis for an economy. And that is what is in realizing its program. It is federalism. It is federalism. When you decentralize, because federalism is sharing of powers. That is, powers are shared at a 3-tier level. That is from the council, regional, and national level. But what is going on now? They say decentralization, but in reality, it is not. And by the time they even said a bit of it to the council, the financial year has come to an end. And I want to say to me, used to go at a double digit. I just want to remind him as an economist that maybe he's not aware. Cameroon's economy is to go also in Central Africa. It is very unfortunate because the underemployment rate in Cameroon is estimated at more than 70%, meaning people who are capable of doing a particular job, but they don't have that job to do, and so they are to do something below their capacity. That is where we are. And the CIMIC in Cameroon is one of the lowest in Central Africa.
42,000.
That is, 43,969
42,900.
Yes, yeah. But in other countries like Gabon, we're talking of 75,000 francs and above. Cameroon is far bigger than Gabon.
Some argue that the cost of living there is also more expensive.
In the SDF, we want to increase the CIMIC from this deplorable amount of 42,000 right up to 160,000 over a period of 5 years, because someone at that amount, 43,000, cannot survive in a city like Yaoundé. It is impossible. And that is exactly what the SDF is proposing from the social democratic point of view.
Okay, Prince Way, please, before you take the mic, you will try to be brief.
Yes.
We don't have much time.
I want to be brief.
Yes.
You know, one of the person you read from him talked about ideology, you know, and that's a problem that maybe we need to talk about it someday.
Okay.
Some political parties don't have an ideology. At the level of MP3, we have what is known as the Afro-social liberalism.
Okay.
In other words, we're talking about inculcating our African culture or customs or relationship system into our governance system.
Okay.
And this will go a long way to resolve all these problems, because at the backbone of this Afro-social liberalism, we have what is known as shared prosperity. And this, how does it resolve our problem? And because Mr. Kufuor was talking about high employment and economic, I said no, that does not go, because the MP3 in its key 4 has talked about the school that provides opportunity and jobs, and not because our educational system today is failing us. And with this, we're going to change the academic year calendar, wherefore schools are going to be from January to October, and we have holidays during the dry seasons.
Okay.
That's one key point.
Try to learn, please.
Yes,
we don't have
and we're
time.
going to end power shortage, because it's inexplicable how Cameroon, with all the dams and everything and the potentials that we have, we still have power shortage.
Okay.
We're making such a way that every region and right up to subdivision can be able to generate their own electricity from the different sources they have, whether it's wind, water, or sunlight. We're going to do that at the level of the MP3. So it's a huge program, 12 key points, and these 12 key points are interrelated. And when you go through it, I'll re-urge Cameroonians to go through the 12 key points, and you will realize that we have solutions to our problems from here.
Thank you, Prince Way. Raul, this is the last time you are taking the mic. I will urge you maybe to be brief, less than a minute, please.
On the...
Yes, your final word on our topic of today?
Actually, Mr. Hyson, I think when you, on the topic of zoom the candidate, the presidential candidate, I think it's important for the dear Cameroonians to, as we approach the 2025 presidential election, it's important for us to note that we don't just go in, we listen to what must be backed by actions.
Of course.
Start asking yourself, from the 2018 presidential election to this present, as we talk, who is that candidate that has paid the price, that has proposed concrete proposals to see that our numerous problems, because it's at the level of defending. Remember that when a president comes on board, one of the priority is to ensure that every Cameroonian should live well. And it is on that base that you cannot say you want to become a candidate when you cannot in one way demonstrate that aspect of defending the fellow Cameroonians.
Our time is up, Raul, please.
I'm taking the opportunity. Remember that I was not given enough time the way the others.
We don't have time, unfortunately.
So I'm taking this opportunity to say we have candidate, we have President Maurice Kamto, because it's not like a political showbiz. It's good to tell Cameroonians we have paid the price.
Your last word, please.
Propose concrete solution to the numerous problems.
Enes Akufo, your last word, please.
Yes, thank you, Hyson.
In less than 15 seconds.
Yes, I want to say, I want to urge the candidates, the aspirants, that they should not just come up like trying to fool Cameroonians and get to power.
Okay.
Rather, they should bring something concrete so that when they get to power, we see a change in this country.
Full Godfrey, just a word.
Yes, a word. I think the sure candidate that can lead Cameroon through the emergency 3035 is His Excellency President Paul Biya, the national president of the CBJ.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We are drawing the curtains of the program here. If you miss out on anything,
saboté autant de cicatrices.
10:30 p.m. Till we meet again next Saturday. Stay blessed.